Well, I guess we can probably get started. I think we've got some people here in my lab, and we've got some people online, which is okay. We'll get a mixture. We'll call
Okay.
it hybrid, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Let me try. I'm not really familiar with this platform. So now I'm at the first slide, and I'd like to talk about the so-called digitalization 5.0, which is my recent invention, if I can put it this way. I think metaverse is part of the history of digitalization, and we will talk about the trends, challenges, and the roadmap. So, brief introduction about myself. So, I'm currently the president-elect of IEEE Standards Association, which is one of the 6 major organizational units under the IEEE Board of Directors. So, I'm also the director-elect of the IEEE Board of Directors. So, I will be taking office on January 1st, becoming the president of the IEEE Standards Association and a director on the IEEE Board of Directors. I also have other volunteer roles in IEEE, including uh, I'm serving as the chair of the IEEE VR and AR Advisory Board, and recently we renamed our VR and AR Standards Committee as Metaverse Standards Committee. So I'm the founding chair of the IEEE Metaverse Standards Committee, and I'm also serving on uh, other societies, like I'm the vice chair of the Photonic Society Standards Committee and the secretary of the Consumer Technology Society Blockchain Standards Committee. All of this I just mentioned are my volunteer jobs. So my daily job, I'm a co-founder of the Verse Maker, which is a platform enabling innovations and investment in the metaverse industry. And also, I have been the founder and the CEO of technology company Xerox Senses, which is dedicated to develop new technologies for the next generation virtual reality. So let me advance my slides. I assume you can see my slide 2 just as a test. So this is a disclaimer I have to put before I share my opinions, because I would expect that today we can have uh, uh, extensive discussion, and I may share with you some bold thoughts or crazy ideas. Those thoughts and the crazy ideas are not necessarily the official opinions of IEEE or IEEE. So, of course, we are talking about metaverse. Um, let's look back at the brief history of the metaverse. Uh, Many people may feel that this keyword "metaverse" was coined in 1992 by Neil Stephenson in his science fiction novel Snow Crash. But earlier than that, in June 1977, uh, uh, Steve Mann, who is the father of wearable computing, he invented and coined the term metaversion. So that is long before the 1992 when Neil Stephenson coined the term metaverse. And then another couple of noticeable events in the history of metaverse include uh, in 2003, Philip Rossdale um, released as a founder of Second Life, released the Second Life, which is now widely recognized as the first embodiment of the concept metaverse. Although I truly believe Philip did not call his uh, Second Life metaverse many years ago, but that is now recognized as a first example, first embodiment, or I would say it's like a prototype of metaverse. And then the two reasons that brought metaverse into the radar of the public and made it a buzzword now. One is the IPO of Roblox in March 2021. Roblox described itself as a metaverse company in its prospectus. And there's another thing in October 2021 uh, was the renaming of the company Facebook. Uh, it was renamed as Meta, and along with lots of efforts, software and hardware regarding the metaverse or XR virtual worlds, like their Quest headsets and the Meta Horizon worlds platform. So this is a brief history of the metaverse. But for now, there are many definitions of metaverse. Many people try to define metaverse in different ways. So if we look back at the uh, origin of metaverse, Neil Stephenson posted on Twitter in June this year. He said in his book, it was all about virtual reality. Um, but that is, uh, of course, a little bit too narrow. Because that was 3 decades ago. So for now, we need to like try to integrate, try to be more inclusive by integrating some latest advancement and changes. So I try to give a definition of metaverse by myself. This is my definition. Uh, Metaverse refers to a kind of experience in which the outside world is perceived by the users as being a universe, and that universe is built upon digital technologies. So there are 3 different types of metaverse. Either the universe built upon digital technologies is a different universe, which we typically call virtual reality, or it could be a digital extension of our current universe, which we can call we typically call that augmented reality, or it could be a digital copy or digital counterpart of our current universe, which is typically called digital twin. And I also added that the users could be human or non-human, so the concept would be more inclusive, including creatures, animals, NPC, robots, etc. I also try to define some features for metaverse. So let's take a look. So back in 2018, Steve, Tom Furness, and a couple of other guys, including myself, we had a paper, all reality, trying to summarize all kinds of reality uh, realities. Uh, in terms of metaverse, in order to make the concept more simple, I'd like to reference George Berkeley. He said hundreds of years ago, to be is to be perceived. So that's my own belief that the outside world is basically based on perception. So that's why I came up with this definition that the metaverse refers to uh, the experiences in which the outside world is perceived as a digital universe. And there are 3 types of metaverses: virtual reality, augmented reality, and the digital twin. And you probably have seen lots of people trying to define the important features or functions of metaverse. But from the standardization perspective, uh, when we are talking about the features of something, we need to consider, we divide those features into at least 3 categories: the mandatory features, recommended features, or optional features. So we typically use shall for those mandatory features, use should for those recommended features, and use may for those optional features. So let's talk about the metaverse. I personally, I have been working in the area of metaverse for I think over 2 decades. But again, I also didn't call that metaverse until last year. So which means I have been working in the area of virtual reality for over multimedia and virtual reality for over 20 years, and especially that is sort of my personal lifetime mission. Well, I can dig a little bit deeper into that. So to me, I think the two coolest things that we can do are, first thing is how to hack this universe. So I have no idea how to hack this universe. The other thing is to create another universe. So I think I have some understanding of how to create another universe, and I have been dedicated to do that. Uh, um, so with that being said, after the concept metaverse became a buzzword, I have been asking myself, in many articles, many newspapers about metaverse, if you replace the keyword metaverse with virtual reality, in most cases, it still looks fine. There's no significant difference. So I have been asking myself, what's the major difference between metaverse and virtual reality? What's the key aspect or key feature that the keyword or the term metaverse captured, but the keyword virtual reality does not capture? So my answer is persistence, because we know many virtual reality experiences are one time. So every time you log into virtual world or something like that, everything will be reset. So those kind of one-time virtual reality experiences are not eligible to be called metaverse, because you cannot make any long-lasting changes into in those virtual worlds. You cannot create any long-lasting items, new items in those virtual worlds, which means there will be no meaningful economy or no meaningful I would say society in those kind of virtual worlds, because those are one-time use, similar to most of the online games. So every time you log in, the map will be reset, and this time you shoot some you leave some traces on like in a building, or you destroy the wall, but next time you log into that game, the wall will be there intact. So those are one-time virtual world or one-time virtual reality experiences, and apparently those are not a universe is supposed to be like. So in order to be able to call the universe, or let's say named after the universe, a metaverse shall be persistent. That's my conclusion. I think the persistence is the most important feature for metaverse, especially in terms of how metaverse is differentiated from most of other virtual reality experiences. And there will be many other should be features, including like since we are talking about a universe named after the universe, should be the environment or the virtual environment or the virtual world should be massive, should be comprehensive, and should be immersive, and should be physically self-consistent and ultra realistic. So I'd like to also mention that it's frequently confusing that many people, when they're talking about the metaverse features, they do not distinguish internal features from external features. But I think from the standardization perspective, that's also what we should do. Internal means, well, I call that universe of bits. Internal means those features you can perceive, you can feel when you are virtually inside the universe, the metaverse. And external features typically refer to the infrastructure or systems or devices you will need to access the metaverse. So I call that universe of atoms. So for example, we hope a metaverse should be accessible, should be pervasive. Those are external features. And lastly, most controversial feature of the metaverse is decentralized. So there are many people claiming that metaverse should be decentralized, but I don't think so. I think that is just an optional feature. Those examples, for example, when we look back at the history of the metaverse, those examples, Meta, Roblox, Second Life, none of them is decentralized. All of them, their virtual worlds are built in a centralized way, and so, in my opinion, decentralization might be a good thing, but we cannot say that it is a mandatory or recommended feature for metaverse, because centralized metaverses could outperform decentralized ones in many cases. So, in a narrow sense, I would say that the metaverse could be simply defined as persistent virtual reality. So this is the most simple architecture for metaverse. We're starting from under these enabling technologies, including brain-machine interface, which is broad sense brain-machine interface. Those XR devices can also be regarded as some types of brain-machine interface. And then I coined the term persistent computing to refer to the ICT technologies that are needed to build and operate persistent virtual worlds. And on top of persistent virtual worlds and via brain-machine interface, we can have virtual sense and actions, which collectively with virtual worlds would be constituting persistent virtual reality. In other words, metaverse. And in some cases, there could be virtual assets built in virtual worlds. And those virtual assets could be built upon, may or may not be built upon blockchain. So that's why I included the blockchain and the virtual assets in this framework, this diagram as well. But in the broad sense, metaverse is an advanced stage and a long-term vision of digital transformation. I believe you also heard of the term digital transformation, which is also which has been a buzzword earlier than metaverse. So digital transformation is happening in almost all the industries respectively, and we can expect that along with the advancement of digital transformation, there will be a convergence stage, and that will be actually the metaverse, the convergence of digital transformation in various industries. But that brings us to another topic. If we look back at the entire history of computing or the entire history of digital transformation, so this is my view regarding the history of digital transformation. I divided the entire history from the very beginning when the human beings had computers. I divided this into five different stages. So the first one, digitalization 1.0, the keyword was automation. It's about when we firstly had computers, we tried to make many things automatic. Like you probably can still remember the term like office automation and many other automations. And in those early days, there was even a discipline called automation. Some universities, there were there were still departments of automation. Although,
Does everybody have their mic muted? I think make sure your microphone's muted if you're not talking, so that it doesn't echo.
so in but nowadays,
Okay, I just muted.
Nowadays, EE and computer science are still departments in many universities, but Department of Automation is disappearing. So the next stage of digitalization is 2.0. It's basically about the rise of the internet or interconnection. And I don't really I'm not really in favor of the division of internet and mobile internet, because I don't really think mobile internet is so revolutionary in terms of even with those kind of cellular technologies like 3G, 4G, people are still looking for Wi-Fi everywhere, which means, well, those are wireless. Wireless are different from mobile. So I think um, the internet era started from interconnection, but if we are talking about what's the next, the so-called digitalization 3.0, I would call that the keyword is the key thing is personalization. If you could recall, many people are talking about nowadays when people are trying to promote Web3, they are trying to telling you that well, there's a simple history that Web 1 was read only, and Web 2 was read and write, and Web 3 is going to be read and write and own. That is fake. That is a fake history. When we were talking about Web 2.0, it was about UGC, user generated content, and recommendation. Web was never read only from the very beginning. So from the very beginning, we have BBS, we have games like MAT, we have online forums. So web was never read only. So the Web 2.0 was really about personalization, and which means UGC and recommendation. Why we need the recommendation? Because if UGC generated tremendous contents, but without recommendation, most of those content would have no chance to be consumed. So only with personalized recommendation, the tremendous content generated by users would have chances to be consumed by other users. So that's why the Web 2.0 was about UGC and the recommendation. The next, we went to the era of digitalization 4.0. The keyword is intelligence, which is consistent with the so-called Industry 4.0. So the AI intelligence has become an integral part of many things, from enterprise applications to consumer applications. So now we are facing a completely new era, thanks to the latest advancement of many technologies, including virtual reality, augmented reality, digital twin, and many other technologies, AI, and so on. So we are facing a completely new era. I call that, well, it's basically metaverse, but I would like to give it another name. I call that reality realization, which means for the first time in the digital world, in the digital universes, we can perform as gods. We will be able to create new realities based on digital technologies. So that's so-called realitization or metaverse. And in IEEE, we are trying to form in some new efforts to coordinate all kinds of such things. And the IEEE term is tentatively digital reality. So fortunately, digital reality is not a new term as well. Back in 2015, I believe, so I was serving as the chair of IEEE Future Directions Initiative called Digital Census. And in 2018, that initiative, the Digital Census Initiative, was renamed as Digital Reality. And I keep serving as the chair of that Digital Reality Initiative for another 1 year. So I could proudly say that I was the founding chair of the IEEE Digital Reality Initiative. So that's why I'm fine with if IEEE want to use digital reality in terms instead of metaverse to summarize all kinds of efforts around the metaverse, I'm fine with that. But anyhow, so this is my history of digital transformation, especially from digitalization 1.0 to 5.0. And I'd also like to briefly discuss something about the usage of the word metaverse. So currently it's sort of confusing. Recently in the forum, well, not forum, in the chat thread of the Metaverse Standards Forum, I started this topic, with my recommended practice of how to use the word metaverse in English. As you can say that there will be 6 different variants. Metaverse, a metaverse, metaverses, the metaverse with M not capitalized, or the metaverse with a capital M, or metaverse. So my preference would be the first variant should be used in both cases, like when we are using other technical terms like virtual reality, cloud, blockchain, etc., without having to capitalize them. For example, projects relevant to metaverse interoperability. And a metaverse, metaverses, plural, and the metaverse without a capital M should be used to refer to specific implementations or embodiments of metaverse. For example, the metaverse created by her company is a decentralized metaverse. And the metaverse with a capital M should be used to refer to the entire metaverse industry or the sum of all metaverses similar to the internet. Example, we believe that the metaverse will have a profound impact on everything. Lastly, metaverse with a capital M but without a or the should be used in proper nouns such as Metaverse Standards Forum. So that's my recommended practice, and so far it was welcomed by many people already. But still, probably I should try to put this into one of the IEEE standards to make it more popular. And of course, revisions or changes will always be welcome. I'd also like to discuss another debate happening in the metaverse community. It's about the metaverse versus the Internet of Metaverses. So, so the question is about how many metaverses we will eventually have, or in other words, should the metaverse be always used as the metaverse without plural, or we can use metaverse as a plural? So there are 2 different opinions. One opinion is saying that, okay, the sum of all the virtual worlds should be called the metaverse, similar to the internet, and there will be only one and only metaverse. So for all those various virtual worlds or virtual universes, we should not call them metaverse, we should call them verse. And another opinion is saying that, okay, we have all those kind of virtual worlds and virtual universes, those can be called metaverse. And then let's find another name for the sum of them. So I kind of be in favor of the latter for 2 reasons. One is from the language perspective. So I believe many of you can understand, or at least understand the Chinese to some extent. So currently, the Chinese term "Yuan Yuzhou" is very popular as a translation of the term metaverse. So if we use the metaverse only to refer to the sum of all kinds of virtual universes, and then as those guys suggested, use the term verse to refer to those individual virtual worlds, it's very difficult to find a Chinese translation for the word verse. Because, universe is translated to 宇宙 in Chinese. So how can we translate verse? Should we call that 子宇宙 or something like that? That is a difficulty. And from another perspective, technically, I don't think so. With an open mind, I don't think we should mandate that all the metaverses should be connected and interoperate with each other. There could be standalone metaverses which can still be valuable, providing value to either business, enterprise applications or consumer applications. From that perspective, I would prefer that we still call each individual virtual world or individual virtual universe the metaverse, and we can find another name for the sum of them. So I would suggest the Internet of Metaverses. This is similar to uh, the name the Internet of Things. So so we can call that the Internet of Metaverses (IOM). Basically, it sounds like a language game, but it also reflects the different visions of how the metaverse industry will further grow and what would be the long-term vision of that. So that's why I want to mention this. And also, I like to discuss about some terms, some concepts which are frequently labeled as metaverse, but are not really actually the metaverse. The first thing is NFT, non-fungible token. So today, most NFTs have no use value, but only so-called collection value or investment value. And but when we are talking about metaverse, we are talking about a very, I would say, ambitious vision of the humankind. So collecting and investing are currently only a small part of our daily life. And I truly believe that if we are looking at the future metaverse, the mainstream demand of our humankind will never be collection and investment. And also many people are talking about that, today, almost half of the population on the Earth, on this planet, are game players on a regular basis. And currently, those NFTs are enabling some so-called play-to-earn games. And then there was those guys would say that looking at the population of regular game players, the play-to-earn model would have a bright future. But that is not true. Those are two very different group of users. I myself, I'm a game player on a regular basis. I play for fun. I never play for to earn. And I also want to mention that many another excuse uh, that people are using to support NFT and claim that NFT is critical to the metaverse ecosystem is that the beauty is that NFT would allow assets transfer from one virtual world to another. But I would give you examples that this demand, the transferring assets from one virtual world to another, is not really a rigid demand. It can be harmful. So hopefully some of you played or heard of the games PUBG and Call of Duty. So I'm a regular player on both. So in the game PUBG, there's a very popular sniper gun, 98K. So that sniper gun, when you firstly get that, it is without a scope. So you need to run for airdrop to get a scope for that. But in the Call of Duty, every sniper gun will come with a scope by default. So if you allow a player to bring a weapon from one game to another, for example, bring a sniper gun from Call of Duty to PUBG, the balance in the game PUBG will be broken, will be ruined. That's an example. And some people may argue that, okay, so in that case, we may prohibit users from bringing weapons or items between different virtual worlds. But how about skins? How about appearance? So I would say skins and appearance are also in a similar situation. In PUBG Mobile, you need to run for airdrop for some special suit that can conceal you very well, so that your enemy would not be able to see you. But in Call of Duty Mobile, some characters they wear such kind of suit from the very beginning. So if you allow those characters to bring skin or bring the appearance to another game, it also ruins the balance of another game. So my conclusion here is that NFT application scenarios in the metaverse may be very limited. So it's not as revolutionary as many NFT advocates think. Another concept I'd like to argue is about Web3. So Web3 is like people are claiming that Web3 is very revolutionary, is really cool because Web3 is about ownership. But if we look at the history, especially the recent years, the so-called sharing economy, like Uber, Airbnb, so the technology community has been telling the public that you don't have to own a house or own your own car. What really matters is the service. So you can enjoy living in a house or riding on a car as a service. You don't have to own that, which means what really matters to users is use and the service, not ownership. Well, I'm in favor of that. I like that concept. But nowadays, the Web3 advocates are telling people that, it's cool for you to own a portion of metaverse. Why? I don't see the necessity. And Web3 itself, I would argue that it itself may not have a bright future at all. Firstly, Web3 is not Web 3.0. The term Web3 was coined by Ethereum co-founder in 2014. Firstly, referring to a decentralized online ecosystem based on blockchain. And we all know that every computer science or WU student should know that web is not internet. So if we really want to talk about the next generation internet, we should call that internet instead of web. Web itself, I believe, is no longer the mainstream way to access the internet. Many years ago, browser is was a mainstream way to access internet, but then we came to the era of different apps. Then what's next? I don't think we will go back to web or browser-based access. And as I mentioned before, don't be too excited about the so-called Web 1.0 read-only, Web 2.0 read and write, and Web 3.0 read, write, and own. That is a fictional history invented by Web3 advocates. That is a fake history. So let's also talk about the metaverse technology landscape. A popular confusion is that many people are claiming that everything is metaverse. Every technology is metaverse technology. But I don't think I'm not a big fan of that kind of framework. So I think we should divide those technologies into supportive technologies and core technologies to the metaverse. Supportive technologies include the computation, storage, communications, data, and intelligence. Those technologies are very fundamental technologies. Once we get some breakthrough in like computation or intelligence, all the other technologies and applications on top of them will benefit from those advancement. But we do not necessarily need to classify them as metaverse technologies. So to me, the metaverse core technologies only include 2.5 categories. One is senses and actions. we will which include the virtual sensors and actuators, real sensors and actuators, and then we'll have brain-machine interface, body-machine interface, and the programming interface. I'd like to especially mention body-machine interface. So body-machine interface, you can say that currently many of our wearable devices can be regarded as body-machine interface. But I'd also like to mention some latest advancement in terms of the neuroscience. So, brain-machine interface is especially trying to read the signals from the brain is sort of difficult. But some companies, some laboratories are trying to read the neural signals in your arm, in your body, instead of from your brain, which give another way to get some input from your consciousness. And also today, just today, I read the latest publication about the tactic, how to simulate touch by putting some electric signals into your hands. So which is about directly putting some input into your neural, but that neural is not in your brain but in your body. So from that perspective, I think body-machine interface is giving some additional workaround before we can eventually get into the mature level of brain-machine interface. And based on all those kinds of interfaces, the users could include the humans, creatures, non-player characters, or AI or machine. That is so-called senses and actions. Another category is persistent virtual worlds, which is about how to create virtual worlds. So underneath there are engines. We have physical engines, graphic engines, sound engines, and then on top of that, we have different technologies about modeling, designing, and the digital content creation. We have PGC, professional generated content. We have UGC, user generated content. We have AI-aided PGC, AI-aided UGC, and AIGC, AI-generated content. So AIGC in recent weeks has become a very hot topic. Many more and more users are using AI to generate pictures to be used in their even articles or for other purposes. So that's a very hot topic and a trend. And also, we have DTGC, digital twin generated content, which means in terms of digital twin, we need to create the virtual copy, virtual counterpart of the physical things from like IoT or what kind of technologies to collect those input from the physical counterpart. And on top of that, we can build virtual maps, virtual things, virtual objects, and virtual characters. These are I call it the category of persistent virtual worlds, or in other words, persistent computing. And lastly, there's I only give it as a half of the category is digital finance and the economy, because to me, I don't think it's necessary to have I don't think it's necessary to have finance and economy in every metaverse. Some metaverses can simply be used for fun or for some enterprise use cases such as smart manufacturing. Some metaverses, the major purpose probably could be just satisfying people's demand about life is elsewhere. We wanted to enjoy or experience a different life. We do not necessarily have to work for money in a virtual world or a virtual universe. That's why I think digital finance and the economy are optional to metaverse, but not necessary nor mandatory. So with that being said, in terms of the digital finance and the economy, we can have digital assets, which mainly about virtual assets, but could also include other intellectual property, things like that. And those kind of virtual assets may or may not need to be built upon decentralization, and those decentralization technologies may or may not be built upon blockchain. So that's my metaverse technology landscape. So with that being said, let's talk about the grand challenges, especially on the road to the metaverse. We have several grand challenges. In terms of the virtual senses and actions, this is my favorite example. So let's think about how to achieve comprehensive and ultra-realistic virtual senses and actions. This picture is like 8 different types of beer. So imagine when we can simulate the experience of drinking beer with your friend. Even we can simulate the look, smell, and taste of beer. We are still far from being able to simulate the feeling that after you drink beer, you will feel high, you'll feel excited. That's because the dopamine generated after by your body after your body got some alcohol. So those kind of things, I believe we will not be able to simulate them with AR or VR devices. We need to further look into this question. So let's take a look. So why currently we are doing well in terms of vision? If we talk about the different human senses, currently we are doing well in terms of vision and hearing. That's because we have already found the building blocks, basic building blocks of those signals. For vision, we know all kinds of input can be composed with different colors like red, green, and blue. And for hearing, every sound, all kinds of sounds can be composed with different different frequency of sound waves. Those are basic building blocks for input of your vision and hearing. But how about touch? How about smell and taste? We have not yet found the building blocks of them. So that's why what we can simulate in terms of virtual touch, virtual smell, and taste are still very preliminary. And so that actually implied that we need to move from working interface from the interface between your senses and the outside world to the interface between your consciousness and your body, between your consciousness and your different senses parts of your body. So the example I read today was about using electrical signals to simulate touch, which is also consistent with this theory. We we need to simulate the electric input instead of the physical input outside your senses. That's the ultimate solution for for creating comprehensive and indistinguishable virtual sense and actions. So with that being said, the ultimate advancement should come from new findings in neuroscience and brain science for the next generation of virtuality. So let's talk about the virtual worlds. In terms of virtual worlds, let's use water as an example. I know water is a favorite topic of Steve. So let's think about how to build a persistent, large-scale, fine-grained, and physically self-consistent virtual world. Especially, let's talk about water. So a virtual water should be you should not only be able to see that looks like water. You should also be able to do boating on the lake, jumping into it for swimming, or washing your avatar face with a handful of water, which means the simulation of water should be much more fine grained down to the I would say down to the particle level, so that we can simulate the fluid mechanism, and even like a scientist cannot find any flaws to tell that, well, this is a virtual world or not. So that's the ultimate goal. But unfortunately, we see lots of efforts along this direction. Second Life itself, as the first embodiment of metaverse, it is built upon basic building blocks. And another good example is Minecraft. The virtual worlds in Minecraft are also built with basic building blocks. So we can expect that along with growth of our computation technology, modeling technology, and many others. So those building blocks could be smaller and smaller, and eventually we will be able to simulate virtual world down to the particle level. Talking about augmented reality or mixed reality, another challenge is about the integration between virtual objects and the real world. So I'm using the example from the movie Blade Runner 2049, which is about. So you can see the girl is it's a virtual character. So the man can see this girl with some augmented reality technology, so like a hologram technology. But could he touch her, feel her? That's a grand challenge. That's a grand question. So another question to ask is that would a virtual umbrella being able to protect you from physical rain? I think the answer would be definitely no, which means technically we may not be able to see a complete integration between virtual objects and the real world from technical perspective. We need to involve content designing into that, which means in order to um, achieve a comprehensive or consistent user experience from the design of the applications or design of the content perspective, we need to avoid those cases. We need to avoid those situations that the virtual worlds, virtual objects cannot be seamlessly integrated with the real world. So that's another challenge. So with those grand challenges, here's my outlook. So we all know that it's very difficult to predict the future. So I would say, firstly, the best way to predict the future is to create it. So let's look at the three different directions. Along with the virtual senses and actions, today we will be able to do read-only brain-machine interface, and then based on that, we can provide some simple actions. For example, you can, by thinking, you will be able to control a toy car, or do some typewriting. And moving forward, we can imagine that with read-only brain-machine interface, we will be able to achieve all kinds of actions, which means simply by thinking, you should be able to control your avatar in the virtual world without using any specific special gesture or whatever specific input devices. The most difficult part is about read and write. So read only is relatively simple, but write into your consciousness is most difficult. So that's why I put 2035 as an expected year when we can have read and write brain-machine interface, and by doing so, we will be able to simulate all kinds of senses, so that we can make a virtual world completely indistinguishable from our current world. So, along with the virtual worlds direction, currently we have building blocks at the block level, and along with the advancement of computation, modeling, other kinds of technology, we should be able to achieve to virtual dust level in 2024, something like around 2024, and around 2027, we should be able to some extent, simulate elementary particles. there are already some research about this direction. And from the AR or MR perspective, integration between virtual objects and the real world, today we can simply have interactions between virtual objects and the real world. Like if we project a virtual control panel on your wall and ask you to use that virtual control panel to turn your air conditioner on, that's not a big deal. We can use some existing smart home technologies, smart home protocols to achieve that. So around 2024, the next milestone would be seamless appearance of virtual objects in the real world. That would be based on light field technology, especially the light field for augmented reality glasses. And moving forward around 2026, we expect that we can have complex interactions between virtual objects and the real world, which means we will need to, along with the advancement of the seamless appearance, we need to develop more protocols, standards to enable the complex interaction and the integration between virtual objects and the real world. So those are the major three directions that I would expect, but I'd also like to mention decentralization as an optional challenge. The crypto community keep telling people that, well, decentralization is a very revolutionary and a cool feature. But even though, let's look at the current, the state of the art, Ethereum is a platform on which most of the current crypto or decentralized applications are built upon. But Ethereum itself is far from decentralized. Most of their nodes are being running through centralized web providers like Amazon, so which could become a central point of failure. And you probably heard that some big names recently claim that, well, Ethereum is not cool. The truly decentralized platform is Bitcoin. So let's look at Bitcoin. How many nodes of Bitcoin are running simultaneously? You probably would expect like millions or so, but the answer is just tens of thousands, which is far from my expectation. By contrast, as of 2013, the BitTorrent we use to download various things, BitTorrent had 15 to 27 million concurrent users at any time. So that's also a quantitative example to say that the current things that many people believe are centralized are not really believe. Well, currently, most of the decentralized things that people consider or believe them as decentralized things are not really decentralized. So even we agree that decentralization is a cool thing, is a cool feature we need to pursue, there's still a long way to go. But with those being said, I would say that Metaverse is not too far away from us. I don't want to discourage people by telling them that, hey, Metaverse is far away. Forget about that. Actually, I believe the road to the Metaverse is I call that harvesting while plowing journey. A good example is like today we are watching. If you come to buy a new TV, most of the mainstream TV sets are 4K or even 8K, and the mainstream programs are becoming 4K and 8K will become popular very soon. But if we think about the 1980s or 90s, at that time we only had VHS or VCD. Those image quality, picture quality compared to what we have today was so poor, but we still enjoy watching them. So which means a new technology does not have to be ideal. before it can be usable and useful. That's why I claim that the road to the metaverse is a harvesting while plowing journey. So with that being said, let me share with you some crazy ideas. So what's next? Are we living in a virtual universe? Uh, this question has been bothering me for decades. As I said before, two coolest things in the world I can dedicate my life to. One is to hack this universe. The other one is to create another universe. I don't know how to hack this universe, but I want to create another universe. So in terms of, many people are thinking maybe we are already living in a virtual universe. But to me, I think before we can create indistinguishable virtual universe, we're not eligible to doubt if we currently are living in a universe. Only after we can create indistinguishable virtual universe, we can start doubting maybe the current universe is a virtual too. So from that perspective, there are special challenges. First is to create an indistinguishable virtual universe. And the next thing would be creating virtual universe over virtual universe. From the temporal perspective, there are some even cooler features that we can pursue. One is about observation. So if we are currently in a virtual universe, how could we forget anything before we came into this universe? That's some feature we need to be able to implement if we are talking about create another virtual universe. To me, I think it's maybe sounds like the stack, the stack concept in computer science. So when you are getting into another layer of a virtual universe, your memory would be, it's like push into the stack and then pop. Then after you create that universe, the experience in that universe will be popped up. So that's probably the mechanism behind the different layers of universe, especially why we cannot remember anything before we entered this universe if we are living in a universe, if we are living in a virtual universe. Another cool temporal challenge is about overclocking. So we all have dreaming experiences. In a dream, the time probably could fly faster than the the time flies in the reality. Like if you have a 30 minutes dream, in that dream the story in that dream could be like half a day or even longer. So which inspired me that our consciousness may be able to be overclocked. And there's a recent research result shows that when people are sleeping, uh, the some kind of activities in their brain are 2 to 4 times faster than usual, which probably is another clue or another evidence that our consciousness could be overclocked. So what's the purpose of overclocking? With overclocking, let's imagine if a patient, he or she has only half a year lifetime, but with overclocking, he or she can live another full life in a virtual universe, which would be helpful and which would be valuable. So that's my crazy thoughts about the virtual universe, and that's also, as I said, part of my life mission. I wanted to be able to eventually create a virtual universe which is indistinguishable from our current one. I'd also like to provide some special food for thought for AI researchers. The question is, can we create consciousness by simulating human brain? So my thought is that if we are currently living in a virtual universe, we need to think about where is your consciousness? Is your consciousness in the brain of your avatar in this virtual universe? or is your consciousness in another universe that this virtual universe is built upon, or your consciousness is in another soul-only universe? So big names like Elon Musk, they keep saying that we are currently probably living in a virtual universe. But sometimes the same group of people also believe that we can simulate human brain, then create consciousness or create truly artificial intelligence. But those are conflicting with each other. So those two theories cannot be both true. One have to be false. So if we are living in a virtual universe, there's no way for you to create consciousness by simulating the virtual brain, because the virtual brain has nothing to do with your consciousness. So this is a very recent trend in the AI community. Just a couple of days ago, there was a white paper published by several big minds in the AI community, claimed some new term as neural AI, saying that the next breakthrough for AI need to come from neuroscience or brain science. I truly wish them a success, because if they eventually will be able to create consciousness or create artificial intelligence, true artificial intelligence, by simulating our neural cells in our brain, by simulating human brain, which would likely be an evidence that we are not living in a universe. But on the contrast, if we are living in a virtual universe, then their methodology, their direction will never succeed. So I never heard other people thinking this way, so I'd like to raise this question as a special food for thought. So lastly, I'd like to briefly mention some of my recent work, our recent work about the metaverse. So Steve and I and a few other top experts, we recently put together a report about the metaverse landscape and outlook, which is available for free download. And also, I'd like to mention about the standards, because my role is about the IEEE standards, leading the IEEE Standards Association. So we need to start from terminology, definitions, and the taxonomy for metaverse, because without that, other directions on the metaverse would be, we will have higher frictions for those other further discussions. So we need to start from terminology, definitions, and taxonomy. My favorite example from this direction is, unfortunately, not an IEEE example, but SAE example, SAE standard, GS3016. GS3016 is about autonomous vehicle. So nowadays, everybody in the autonomous vehicle community is using that standard. They are saying, hey, your company is trying to develop level 3, level 5, level 5 autonomous driving, and my team is working on level 4, and he's working on level 3. So all kinds of levels from 0 to 5 are specified in the SAE standard, SAE GS3016. So I can imagine that that's a perfect example in terms of how standards can play a leading role before the technologies become mature enough. Standards can pave the road and give some guidance, set up some roadmaps for the industry, for the technologies, before technologies and the market become mature enough. So I truly believe in metaverse, we may have a similar situation. We need to develop some standards to give the community, give the industry some guidance, some roadmaps. That's why we are initiating some standards in IEEE to address the terminology and the taxonomy of the metaverse. So on top of that, we can imagine there will be many technology standards such as interoperability, interfaces, formats, functions, performance, safety, security, identity, privacy, and also um, in addition to technologies, there are another two important aspects. Content. Metaverse has great potential to generate impact on your uh, physical being and also your psychology being, which means we need to have some standards to regulate content to prevent it from generating any harm. So content descriptors and ratings are necessary from that perspective. And also social implications like ethics for metaverse applications are also necessary. So does ESG, SDG perspectives. And on top of all of this content technologies and the social implications, there are lots of applications in different industries. We may also need different standards for them, different metaverse applications in different industries. So that's my view of the metaverse standardization needs. So what we do in IEEE, we initiated the IEEE Metaverse Congress, which is a series of online and hybrid sessions to provide a global and comprehensive view of the metaverse. The pilot session was in Toronto back in June. Me, Steve, and Monica Morrow, we were the three speakers for that pilot session, the IEEE Standards Forum about the metaverse. Then we had our kickoff session in July, named Demystifying and Defining the Metaverse. Steve was a keynote speaker at that session as well. And later we had a China session on July the 9th. And then the session 3 about developing and deploying the metaverse was held on September, the end of September, along with a back-to-back session in China. So we are planning the next session in December. And as I briefly discussed with Steve before my presentation, the water HCI could be a special session in the umbrella of IEEE Metaverse Congress in 2023 as well. So I'd also like to mention that we currently have the Metaverse Standards Committee, which is, as far as I am aware, it is the first standards committee on metaverse in major global and international SDOs. Previously, it was named as IEEE Virtual Reality and Augmented Reality Standards Committee. We changed the name officially on September 21st. So now we are eligible to address standards, recommended practices, and the guides for metaverse. And so does as well as virtual reality and augmented reality. And IEEE has many standards and projects for metaverse, of course. So here I only listed the standards and the projects in which the keyword metaverse is explicitly included. So there are many other metaverse-related standards and projects. I did not list them here because their titles do not explicitly include metaverse. But we are working on putting together a comprehensive list of them. Maybe later this year we will publish infographics or something like that to summarize all the IEEE metaverse-related standards and projects. So with that being said, IEEE standards and projects explicitly mentioning metaverse currently include the P2048, the standard for metaverse terminology, definitions, and taxonomy, 3016, the standard for ethically aligned design and life cycle of metaverse systems. And we have two industry connection activities, which is about anything but standards development itself. It could be studying standardization needs, doing some promotions or workshops around the standardization development, and also certification, test, verification after standards. So those we call that in IC, industry connections activities. Now we have two ICs about Metaverse. One is a persistent computing for Metaverse initiative. So Steve is part of that. I initiated this one, and Steve kindly joined this initiative. So it's going to address the persistence, what kind of technologies we will need to support to build and run a persistent metaverse. Another one is called the Decentralized Metaverse Initiative. So I told you that I'm not a big fan of decentralization, but the decentralization is optional direction either way. So we also want to create some place for people to try to discuss and address the decentralized part of metaverse as well. So I think that concludes my presentation, and I also share my contact information on my slide. You are more than welcome to contact me directly afterwards. So I think we can have some Q&A. I'll stop sharing, and let's see if we can have some questions or discussions.
Excellent. That was a really good talk. Big round of applause for you, Yuan.
Thank you.
And I'll stop the recording now.